What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with more data points for loose graded figures. We've got AFA, UKG, CAS graded vintage Star Wars figures, and as you can tell by this thumbnail, prices were all over the map, and I can't make heads or tails of the market right now. I see that all the time, but as you can see, some of the prices were actually really significant for very high grade, and some of them were actually some great deals. That Lilly, Ledy, Han Solo, although low grade, that is a very, very expensive variant usually, and it sold for $236. So we'll dig into all these figures and more. As always, thanks to my Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up to get 24 hours early access to all my videos. Okay, I've got a lot to go through, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time for how many items we got. So I'll try to be quick, but no promises. Let's start off with some early figures. And the first one is Vaults of Yavin. This is a seller that I've talked about in the past. Always has very nice high-grade figures on eBay. I bought from him and been very happy. He had a Taiwan Vader. Now, this is not the Taiwan-only COO, which is very, very pricey and was only available down in Australia and New Zealand. This is the made-in-Taiwan Darth Vader. Very, very common, but still a pretty desirable variant. It was graded AFA 80+, new case style. That one sold for $162.50 plus shipping, and that's about right. You know, AFA 85s can set you back, I'd say $300 or more. So to me, to get an 80 plus for about half the price, pretty good buy. That's a pretty good buy, and it's not as easy to find as like a Hong Kong, but I would put it on par with like a raised bar COO, or maybe a no COO. It's just a little bit tougher to find in general, and that's a nice one. Now, the Made in Taiwan, I've got a video of that on my channel. That one is expensive, and that one is only available, as I said, on Toll Toys cards down in Australia and New Zealand. So don't mix up the two. AFA does label the difference. So AFA will say Taiwan only underneath Darth Vader instead of just Taiwan, like they do for the standard Made in Taiwan figures. Next up, we had a Stormtrooper. This one was graded AFA 85. Let me double check that, but I thought that's what it was. AFA 85, and it says UKG, but it's not. It's a AFA example, and it looked like it had a broken peg, so keep that in mind. It was an archival case, but it did have a broken peg in there, and it was an 85 from AFA, so very tough to do that. Now, I question when this was graded. Obviously, this is a question I've gotten from a number of you. Hey, I want to be able to look up the AFA certification number to see, number one, the population report, but also when the item was graded. And this one, to me, looks like it might have some yellowing starting on the figure. Maybe it's just lighting, I don't know. But AFA is apparently bringing that back, so be patient. Right now, there's no way to verify an AFA label or to see when it was graded until they actually bring that service back. But apparently they are going to bring it back, and it is going to be free of charge. So we'll see. But anyway, this one, again, it did have a broken peg, but it sold for 321 pounds, which is $409 US. You know, that's down. That number's down. So it seems like the market is discounting it for, number one, the fact that you can't send it in to be recased right now. And number two, that maybe there's like a slight discoloration starting on the Stormtrooper, because I would have expected that one to go for $600 plus, to be honest with you. It's just really, really difficult to get an AFA 85 for a Stormtrooper. Next up, this is an interesting one. This is one you don't see often. A UKG 80% loose graded Tauntaun. So that's a pretty big box, I imagine, but pretty cool looking case there. And it's got, you know, some rings around the tail and the legs to kind of keep it in place, but very cool item. This is the open belly 1979 date stamp version. It says 1979 stamp, but 1980 Hong Kong. So apparently there was a 1980 date stamp on there as well for certain variations of it. But this one is probably the early version when it was still the open belly instead of the closed belly. That one again was a UKG 80%, and it sold for 121 pounds, which is $154 US plus shipping. That's a pretty good buy, in my opinion. I got 3 different Cloud Car pilots, and I think all 3 of these I had in my what to buy video. So if you're a Cloud Car fanatic like me, this was a good week for it, because the three different examples sold, and they kind of fell in line with what I expected in terms of you know, the price difference between them. One of them's an AFA, one of them's CAS, and I believe one of them is a UKG, but don't quote me on that. I'll double check in a second. This one is a CAS 80, and that one sold for $103.50 free shipping. So pretty good example there. No, they were the other two were both AFA examples. So that was a CAS 80. That one sold again for $103.50 free shipping. The AFA 80 sold by SW seller, who I've gotten to know and really like his items. That one sold for $112.50 plus $11.75 shipping. So let's call that about $125 versus this one that sold for about $103. And so this is a good example of what I was talking about, is that not all the time, but most of the time, there is a slight premium for AFA versus CAS in the same grade. Okay, so if this was a CAS 85, I would equate that to an 80 plus with AFA, and you would expect that one to go for maybe a little bit more than what this one went for, which is $112.50. But still, that's a pretty good buy. I think both of those were really good buys, and both of them look to be in great shape. And then here was the uncirculated 85, admittedly older case style. That one was an AFA. That one sold for 180 pounds, which is $229 and change, almost $230 plus shipping. If you were in the U.S., that would have cost you about $270. So think about that. To go from an AFA 80 new case style for $125 for an uncirculated 85 old case style, at least if you're here in the U.S., that would have been, $270, $280. So pretty significant price jump, even with the difference in case styles. So, it's just pretty crazy to see how all three of those sold within, a day or so of each other. And the prices were somewhat all over the map. Next up was a U-85 Power Droid, same seller. This one sold for 161 pounds, which is $205 US dollars plus shipping. So that's a pretty good buy, I think, on that one. Just given that, Power Droids, they don't seem to come up all that often. I don't know why that is, but in general, the Power Droid is one that, for loose graded, it doesn't seem to pop up nearly as much as maybe some of the other more common figures. Now we're going to dig into Cash Retro Trader. I've bought from this seller before, been very happy. They're based in the UK. He had some absolute heaters for droids, and they were all high grade. The first one is a 1978 date stamp R5D4 graded UKG 90%, and it's every bit of a 90. I mean, look how beautiful that figure is. Pretty stunning condition. I mean, that is card fresh right there. The sticker looks great. That one sold for 317 pounds, which is $404. And then he also had a 1977 date stamp, no COO, which to me, I'm surprised that this one sold for less. This one sold for 270 pounds, which is $344. But this is number one, the 1977 date stamp, which is less common, but it's also the no COO, which is less common. These only appeared on like Palatoys or Tri-Logo card backs. To me, I would have paid more money for this one than the standard Hong Kong 1978. This is the most common COO, country of origin, for R5D4. But this one is a little tougher to find. I think I've got a UKG 80 for mine, no COO. But to me, that's a really good buy there. $344. It seems like a lot of money, I know, but I can tell you that to get a 90% of anything for R5D4 is not easy. It's just not easy to do. And I thought that was a great buy. That one was a better buy. Next up was a Solid Dome R2D2. This one is a made in Hong Kong. UKG 90% again. Look at that sales price. Look at that beautiful price. Is this 2021 again? Good Lord, what a crazy price. 635 pounds, which is $810 US dollars for a UKG 90%. Loose graded R2D2. So, I mean, you can get a mint on card or maybe two, depending on condition, versus this. But, I mean, this is a beautiful example. And that sticker was in pretty impeccable shape. I don't know if I've seen a cleaner sticker in a while on one of these. And to me, that was a gem. I mean, it had some very, very light scuffs on the sticker, but that's about it. And that is a stunner. But somebody was really paying up for that one, $810 US dollars. He also had a Taiwan Boba Fett with the V5 blaster, and this was a bargain. 127 pounds, which is 162 US dollars, and it was a UKG 85%. I mean, it looks every bit of an 85 to me, just based on the colors and everything. But with the V5 blaster, that's a correct blaster. Taiwan Fett. I mean, the times have changed for Boba Fett. Boba Fett is going to be on the sidewalk with a little cup in his hand asking for donations here soon. The prices for him keep going down. I cannot believe that deal. 162 was a bargain on that one. And then he also had a PvP tri-logo Fett. This has got the light blue kind of uniform with the kind of really bright green. So these would appear on tri-logo card backs. And unpainted knee, unpainted dart. This is probably the most common of the tri-logo Fetts, but it was a UKG 85%, and it sold for 357 pounds, which is $455. That's kind of in line with market, I would say. The paint score was an 80%, probably because of that scratch on the chest there. There was also some overspray by his belt on his hip there, but a pretty gorgeous example. I mean, to me, it's probably more like an 80% to me, just because of that one scratch. But, you know, that's just being picky. But, I mean, to get it for $455 US, that's a good buy. That's a really good buy for a beautiful tri-logo Fett. Next up, here is that Lilly Ledy Han. And it was an AFA 60. So, you know, admittedly, it's not the highest grade in the world. But Han Solo in trench coat, made by the Lilly Ledy factory, is a very, very tough to find variant. Very expensive. High-grade examples will set you back quite a bit of money. You know, again, it was only an AFA 60, but still, that's a stunner of an item. A very, very tough variant to find. That one sold for 185 pounds, which is $236. I mean, I've seen them go for more than this price ungraded in similar conditions. So to me, that was a really good price for a fairly low-grade Lilly Ledy Han trench coat. Back to SW Seller, he had some first 12 figures that I wanted to show. AFA 80 plus long eye tubes. Sand people. Surprised by this final sales price. I did show this on my what to buy video, and you guys apparently went nuts on it. I bought mine for $165, maybe $180 after shipping last year. Same grade, same case, everything. This one sold for $242.50, so that's a little higher than I expected on that one. I was expecting kind of under $200 on that one, but beautiful example. AFA 80 plus long eye tubes, sand people. He also had an AFA 80 Princess Leia, brown hair and belt, Hong Kong country of origin. You know, it probably got the 80 as we talked about, but because of the torso discoloration relative to the arms there, it's just a very faint difference on the torso versus the arms. But that's a great looking figure. Great looking figure. That one sold for $300. I thought that was a very fair price. I mean, any Leia that's high grade, 80 or above, is going to set you back $300 minimum, I would say. And then finally, he had an 80 plus R2D2 Hong Kong. And this is the solid dome. That one sold for $216.40. So think about that for a second. A UKG 90% went for almost four times what this one went for. You could have bought four of these in an 80 plus grade versus the UKG 90%. I mean, that's a massive price difference. That's crazy. So part of it could be because in the UK, maybe they just don't get as many high-grade examples. But, you know, admittedly, it was a UKG 90%, and it was certainly in better condition than this one. But, you know, again, it's four times the price versus this one. So to me, this is the better buy. I would have bought this all day long at this price versus paying $800 for a UKG 90. But at the end of the day, condition sells sometimes, and even in a down market, people are willing to pay up for big, you know, high-grade figures, and that was a good example of it. Next up here is that Droid Factory R2-D2. Now, the sticker was kind of wonky, but it was graded AFA 75, but you can see there the sticker very clearly was not applied that great originally. And, you know, the score reflected that. It was a 75. That one sold for $295, so that's down a little bit versus the other 75 that sold for like $328, I believe. I believe it was Volta Yavin that had one a few weeks ago that was an AFA 75. It might have been a 75 plus, but it sold for $328 or so. So this one was down just a little bit at $295, free shipping. Next up, same seller had an AFA 80 plus small head Han with the molded legs, not the rare painted legs version. New case style. That one sold for $175. That's a price I'd pay all day long. $175 free shipping for an AFA 80 plus small head Han. That's one I still need. I'll get that eventually, but I've been kind of anti-action figure buying lately, so it'll have to wait. But at some point, I'll probably grab one of those in high grade. This one really surprised me. This was a brown snake Yoda archival case AFA 85. So again, high grade figures will sell, and this one sold for $525. $525. Now it wasn't, I'm sorry, it was an AFA 85 plus. Okay, so to go from an 85, which the last one top of my head sold for $330, to go from an AFA 85 to an 85 plus, it went from the price went from $330 to $535 after shipping. So that's a huge price difference just to go up a half a point in grade. But that's what it sold for, and it was in an auction. It was not a buy it now situation. 42 bids on that one, $525 plus $10 shipping. And then finally, I did want to show you this one. A subscriber of mine, Jason, did sell this one. And I had this in my what to buy video. I did not know it was his. Full disclosure, I did not know it was his when I put it in my what to buy video. But I thought it was a cool item, and I thought he priced it very fairly. And that's a 1977 Wonder Bread shelf talker. So again, these would appear at point of sales displays for Wonder Bread. That carbolicious white bread that's one of the worst things you can put in your body. They entice children to get their mom, instead of getting the whole wheat bread, they said, buy Wonder Bread for us so we can get the trading card that's inside. And so this point of sale display was an AFA 85, and it sold in an auction for $375 plus $25 shipping, so about $400 shipped for a very high grade shelf talker. And I thought that was a great price, and congratulations to Jason on the sale there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at recent loose graded items. I hope that you find something that you're looking for that'll give you a price target to aim for, or under, hopefully, in a down market. Make sure to focus on those auctions instead of buy it now situations, and maybe you'll get lucky and find something that flies underneath the radar. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.